Tonight on NewsWatch, an impending invasion in Ukraine, why America is concerned about Russia's next step.
Plus, upholding the abortion law in Texas. More on the decision that's empowering pro-life advocates.
And CBN News sits down with the stars and director of Noah to take an inside look at the movie. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. Good evening. I'm Mark Martin.
And I'm Heather Sells.
Is Russia preparing to invade eastern Ukraine? Well, that's the question tonight as Russian troops build up along the Ukrainian border.
Russian officials say they are simply conducting military exercises, but many in the West fear the country is planning for much more.
The U.S. believes that as many as 50,000 Russian troops have amassed along the Ukrainian border. But officials in the Ukraine say the number is closer to 100,000. The question of the day, what is Russia's intent? The Wall Street Journal reports that Russian troops are concealing their positions and preparing supply lines. Many wonder if it's planning another incursion into Ukraine. There's also concern that Russia will use protection of Russian minorities as an excuse to invade. The acting prime minister voiced that very possibility in response to Ukrainian protests over the death of a far-right political leader.
This is the route which leads to catastrophe for the country. This way is against our own state. This is the route supporting the aggressor who is concentrating his armed forces on the borders of our land.
President Obama is urging Russia to pull back from the border.
What we need right now to resolve and de-escalate the situation would be for Russia to move back those troops and to begin negotiations directly with the Ukrainian government as well as the international community.
And the UN General Assembly is backing Ukraine, affirming its territorial integrity in a resolution passed today. The Ukrainian foreign minister said the move shows just how isolated Russia is internationally.
The rest of the world is for peaceful solution of the conflict and for the support of the existing internationally recognized borders.
But so far it appears that no country will come to Ukraine's defense should the need arise. President Obama signaled to Russia this week that it would face a swift response if it encroaches on any NATO country, but he made no such promise to defend Ukraine, other than warning of more economic sanctions should Russia invade.
And George Thomas, our senior international correspondent, was in Ukraine just a few weeks ago, and he joins us now with more. Welcome, George.
Thank you.
Well, George, the Russians say its troops are involved in military exercises and have no plans to actually cross the border. But the U.S. is not buying that, right?
No, they're not, because in a proper scenario, when you do have military exercises, you should see tank, soldier movement, and you're not seeing this. I mean, clearly that is not happening. Here's what a defense official said to this point. What we're seeing is not a lot of exercises, but a lot of reinforcing and settling in place, and that is what is alarming to U.S. intelligence.
Well, where would the Russians go exactly if they do invade?
I'm looking at three specific cities on the eastern border. We're looking at Kharkiv, Donetsk, and Luhansk. Why are these important? You have to look at this. When Crimea was annexed 2 weeks ago, it in essence is an island. There is no portion that connects Russia. And so Russia needs the land. It needs the land from the north to the Crimea, in order to access and to benefit from the annexation. So three particular cities, Luhansk, Donetsk, and Kharkiv.
Well, President Obama is saying that he would protect NATO nations. What does that mean for Ukraine?
They're in the dark. I mean, they basically are left to fend for themselves. I mean, Ukraine has wanted to. That's been the aspiration. That's been the worry that the Russians have had all this time. Will Ukraine join the EU? Will they join NATO? And in essence, they will be out to fend for themselves.
Wow. Well, Ukraine is asking the international community for military support. Are they likely to get it anytime anytime soon? I know you said with the U.S. they're in the dark. Any other countries might step up, you think?
No, the Prime Minister of Ukraine visited the White House 2 weeks ago, and in essence, he asked President Obama, would you give us at least small ammunition, give us something that we could defend ourselves? And the president, in essence, said, we'll send you a bunch of MREs, meals ready to eat. And so those are supposed to arrive within the next few days, thousands of those.
I mean, that sounds so cold-hearted.
It is, because in essence, you are seeing no response by the so-called NATO allies in the region. There is nothing, there is no indication that there is any sort of military deployment to the region. And the president this week has reiterated that we are not, as a nation, going to get involved militarily. And so he's told the Russians, you can basically do what you want.
Well, we know that the interim prime minister of Ukraine is an evangelical Christian, so definitely we need to lift him up in prayer in that country.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, George, for your time, as always.
You're welcome.
Heather.
Word today that the Syrian government is preventing aid from getting to war-torn regions. That is according to Human Rights Watch. The group says the Assad regime will not grant permission for aid to be transported through rebel-held border crossings. United Nations agencies won't cross borders unless approved by a country's government. That's leaving about 3 million Syrians without much-needed help from UN humanitarian groups. Human Rights Watch says the regime is violating a UN Security Council resolution that demands access for aid groups.
Only 26% of Americans support the Affordable Care Act. That's according to an Associated Press GFK survey. It's also losing support among young, healthy millennials who are needed to pay for it. The latest report showed only 27% make up the total number of enrollees. The White House says it signed up 6 million people in Obamacare.
It's people from all over the country. We do know it's a mix of people, and we know it's a lot of people.
But conservatives question the White House numbers, saying not all of them are actually paying premiums. They've simply selected a plan.
The U.S. Attorney General says he will extend federal marriage recognition to the more than 300 gay couples that wed in Michigan last weekend. Today's announcement from Eric Holder comes after the state's governor said Michigan would not recognize the marriages. Holder's decision will extend federal marriage benefits to those couples, like jointly filing federal taxes and Social Security benefits. Meanwhile, a federal appeals court has put gay marriage in Michigan on hold. That is while the state appeals a judge's ruling to overturn a constitutional ban on same-sex marriage.
A federal court in Texas is upholding the state's abortion restrictions. An all-women panel of judges in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals made the ruling. They agreed that requiring abortion doctors to have admitting privileges at nearby hospitals does not violate the Constitution or put women's health in danger. The decision increases the chance the issue will head to the Supreme Court.
And for more on this, we turn now to Allison Howard of Concerned Women for America. Allison, this was an all-women's panel of judges that said this is a constitutional measure and that it does not endanger women's health. What do we know about how they arrived at their decision?
That's a great point, actually. This was an all-female, 3-person panel that decided that HB 2, a House bill that the Texas legislature passed last summer, which many will remember Wendy Davis filibustered, was a bill to protect women through common sense abortion regulations. Things like a 20-week regulations on 20-week abortions after 20 weeks. Things like admitting privileges for those physicians who are performing these procedures to women. Now, Planned Parenthood and other pro-abortion groups argue that this placed an undue burden on abortionists, the facilities, and the women seeking abortions. What happened yesterday was the United States Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit decided that it, in fact, does not. And they upheld both of the two contentions that Planned Parenthood and these pro-abortion groups held. They were against these admitting privileges for physicians within 30 miles of the clinic, and also against the fact that RU 486, a very dangerous abortion pill, would now have to be administered by FDA protocols.
So, essentially, Allison, was this ruling really a surprise? I mean, I know there was some reaction here like, wow.
Isn't that encouraging and unfortunate that we're surprised that life is upheld? But it shouldn't surprise us. Poll after poll shows women clearly support common sense regulations on abortion. Things like sex-selective abortions, gender-selective abortions, and raising clinics to the levels of hospitals are things that women can agree on no matter where they fall on the life issue. For us, it isn't a surprise. Life should be upheld, and we are now part of a generation that is has more access to 40 sonograms and really knows what's going on inside the mother's body at that time and wants to defend and protect those who are innocent among us.
Yeah, in just the 30 seconds or so we have left, Allison, how do you see this measure changing the abortion industry in Texas?
Sure. Well, some have said that these clinics may shut down, and I say that if they needed to shut down because of this being raised to a standard that's safe for women, then that is in women's best interest. Right now, we're seeing states consider these pro-life legislation more than ever. More pro-life legislation has been passed in the states in the past 2 years than in the past decade. I think that's really revealing to the momentum behind this movement.
All right, Allison Howard, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
In other news, 17 people have officially been declared dead because of that mudslide in Washington state, and rescue teams expect that number to climb significantly. At least 90 people are still unaccounted for. Searchers are battling rain and exhaustion to try and narrow that list. At the same time, many are clinging to the hope of a miracle in the pile of mud and debris. A local website is posting the names and faces of the missing, hoping to comfort the community that those on the site will be found.
I'm glad that we can, even if in some tiny way, bring some comfort, some answers, whatever we can do.
CBN's Operation Blessing is sending money and staff to the disaster zone. They'll be working with a local pastor to help him reach out to the hurting community.
The search for Malaysia Flight 370 is now shifting. Authorities say new analysis of radar data shows the plane was going faster than normal and using more fuel, so it probably crashed earlier than they first believed. The search is now focusing closer to Australia.
This is our best estimate of the area in which the aircraft is likely to have crashed into the ocean.
We're in real danger of that pinger battery running out and never finding the wreckage and never finding out the mysteries of Flight 370.
Weather conditions are improving in the new search area, and another U.S. Navy sub-hunter has been ordered to assist.
Coming up, food prices on the rise, why Americans are spending more at the store.
Your grandpa named Pop, right?
They died when I was your age.
I saw him in heaven.
What if an ordinary boy?
Is this him?
That's Pop.
Your son had a near-death experience.
Discovered the answer to life's most extraordinary question.
Do you think my son went to heaven?
He told me everything was all right.
Based on the incredible true story.
We all want to be supportive.
I want to believe him. But everything he talks about is impossible.
Will you believe?
You saw heaven? It's beautiful.
Heaven is for real. See it this Easter. Rated PG.
I was having some pains between my shoulder blades. At that point, everything changed. Diagnosis, pancreatic cancer. First, there was prayer. The second is to fight. As soon as we walked through those doors at Cancer Treatment Centers of America, all my anxiety left. The pastoral care here is based on the Bible, based on the Word of God, just as it is at our own church.
When you combine the great medicine with the spiritual resources we have, it provides the patients with something that really can make a difference.
You got a pastor right there on staff praying with patients, whether it be scripture or whether it just be a word of encouragement to say, God's got this.
If you or someone you love is fighting complex or advanced stage cancer, go to cancercenter.com/faith. You'll learn how our treatment results compare to national averages and see a list of insurance plans with which we've worked. Advanced medicine and technology, the warm embrace of the Spirit.
I firmly believe God led me here.
Call or go to cancercenter.com. Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Care that never quits. Appointments available now.
Your grandpa named Pop, right?
They died when I was your age.
I saw him in heaven.
What if an ordinary boy?
Is this him?
That's Pop.
Your son had a near-death experience.
Discovered the answer to life's most extraordinary question.
Do you think my son went to heaven?
He told me everything was all right.
Based on the incredible true story.
We all want to be supportive.
I want to believe him. But everything he talks about is impossible.
Will you believe?
You saw heaven? It's beautiful.
Heaven is for real. See it this Easter. Rated PG.
A devastating drought and the harsh winter is costing Americans more at the dinner table. From meat to fruits and vegetables, the cost of food is on the rise. Caitlin Burke reports.
Grocery stores across the country are hiking up the prices of some major food staples. In February alone, prices rose 0.4%. And by the end of 2014, experts say they expect them to increase as much as 3.5%.
A severe drought in the Midwest is one of the factors to blame for the price increase, and the beef industry has been hit especially hard.
Meat supplies are down. We're expecting meat supplies to be down 6 to 7% this year. And when supply goes down, prices tend to go up.
In January, the USDA recorded the highest price for a pound of fresh beef ever recorded since the government agency began tracking this statistic in 1987. And then there's produce. Higher prices this time of year are normal because of the transition from winter to spring. The concern is about prices later in the year.
As the new crops come in, the prices are high, but this year we expect them to go higher because of some of the crops have been eliminated, mainly because they just won't have enough water.
An unusually cold winter and an increase in demand are other factors that have contributed to the rising price of food.
There might be products that are really affected and other ones that are not. So I think you'd have to sort of wait and see. And then I think people also will adjust what they eat a little bit to what products are available.
Caitlin Burke, CBN News.
High cholesterol levels are growing among kids. There is a new study out of Texas, and it finds 1/3 of preteens have borderline high or high cholesterol. And though it might not be too harmful at a young age, doctors warn that half of those with high cholesterol as children will have it as adults. That raises the risk for heart attacks, strokes, and other problems. The new study will be presented at the American College of Cardiology this weekend, and it suggests that cholesterol screening should start at age 9.
Autism in the U.S. is on the rise. That according to a report from the Centers for Disease Control. New data shows 1 in 68 American children has autism, a 29% increase since the last major study in 2008, and a 62% increase since 2006. Among boys, it's 1 in 42. Girls, 1 in 189. Still not clear why there appears to be such a big jump in autism.
I'm afraid there's not going to be a simple answer to it. There's not a single explanation for this. It's likely to be many different things.
There's been an improvement in identifying warning signs, so kids are being diagnosed at younger ages. And doctors say early intervention is critical. Autism advocates are pushing lawmakers to develop a national strategy so families can get the support they need.
Up next, the director of the new film Noah tells CBN News how he's responding to criticism of his movie.
Hello? Is this thing on? Hey, kids, do you love games? And do you love discovering things? Well, do ya?
Then you're gonna love this. It's the new free Superbook Kids Bible app. You can play games, watch videos, find answers to your questions, and a whole lot more. The new Superbook Kids Bible app. Free downloads available on iTunes and Google Play now.
This is a national healthcare alert from the Health Hotline. If you, a family member, or a loved one suffers from knee pain and have Medicare as your primary insurance, we've got great news. You could qualify for a pain-relieving knee brace at little or no cost to you. Get free delivery, and all the paperwork is handled by our accredited suppliers at no charge to you. If you're on Medicare and have knee pain, don't wait. You may qualify to immediately receive a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost. Friendly agents are standing by 24/7 to help you. Call the Health Hotline right now for details toll-free. Our friendly representatives are standing by now to take your call. We also have other pain-relieving braces available for shoulder, ankle, and your back. You may be eligible to receive these items and more at little or no cost to you as well. Call right now for details toll-free.
Operators are standing by. Call 855-740-8143. That's 855-740-8143. Again, 855-740-8143. That's 855-740-8143.
announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need, just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
Welcome back. The much anticipated film Noah hits theaters today, but Hollywood's big budget version of the Bible story has been generating buzz and controversy for months.
Some Christian leaders say that the director pushed creative license a bit too far. He sat down with our Ephraim Graham to answer some of the criticism.
Darren Aronofsky's fascination with Noah began at 13 when he won an award for his poem on the story.
Oh, that was great. Cut. That was good. That was worth it.
Bringing his twist on the Bible story to the big screen is a dream come true, and 16 years of work.
This film is a great entertainment first and foremost, but then it's a visual spectacle of all of the wonders that happen in the Bible.
That spectacle includes the massive ark Aronofsky built, using the Bible as a blueprint, and Hollywood heavy hitters.
It begins.
Like Russell Crowe as Noah.
The Creator destroys this world.
Academy Award-winning Anthony Hopkins plays Noah's grandfather, Methuselah.
I remember growing up and hearing the story of Noah in Sunday school. What's your first connection to the story of Noah?
I do remember that's the first biblical story I heard. I was in Sunday school. It's the only day I ever attended Sunday school. And I remember going home and telling my mother about the snakes and the elephants.
How would you compare what you recall and what you saw in your mind's eye then to what we're seeing on film now?
Well, there's no comparison. I mean, this is a sweeping epic of a story that goes beyond the Bible. Our family has been chosen for a great task. To save the innocent.
The innocent?
The animals.
Why are they innocent? Because they still live as they did in the garden.
An early draft of Darren's script for the film inspired this graphic novel. Still, this isn't a children's story. Russell Crowe's depiction of Noah is dark, and the tension in his family, heavy.
Some religions say Noah is a prophet. Some people talk of him in terms of, having sort of superhero status, but he was, in my mind, just a man, given a particularly heavy task and quite a burden to carry. Did you really think you could protect yourself from me in that? It's not protection from you. Then what is it?
An ark. To hold the innocent when the Creator sends his deluge to wipe out the wicked from this world.
Return to your cities of Cain. No, we have all been judged.
Looking at the biblical text, very, very short. Noah doesn't speak. Yeah. We don't hear from his wife, hear from his children. Where do you go from that to a film of this magnitude?
That was the big challenge. But there were a lot of clues. The more you look, the more interesting things sort of emerged.
Some criticism about the film among all the buzz in anticipation of the film, especially in the Christian community, calling it an environmental crusade, saying that you take too many licenses that veer away from the biblical text. Your thoughts?
Well, all the controversy is coming out of people who haven't seen the film. And now that people are seeing the film, the tide's changed.
In that tide, the National Religious Broadcasters Organization did praise the film for its faithfulness to the biblical themes of sin, judgment, and restoration. But only after Paramount Pictures advertised the film as being inspired by the story of Noah, noting artistic licenses had been taken.
And now that people are seeing it, people are realizing that the values that we have in the movie are very, very connected to the original story and actually raise a lot of conversation about the original story.
Even with controversy, this epic film has people talking about an Old Testament Bible story that hasn't inspired a blockbuster until now.
The Old Testament film's been a genre that's been dead for 50 years, since Cecil B. DeMille's times. No one's kind of undertaken the great miracles of the old book and tried to bring them to life for a 21st century audience. And with all the incredible digital effects that have been used for superhero films, you know, when you have these original superheroes like Noah, what you can bring to life is so exciting.
It's the latest wave in a flood of faith films riding high at the box office. Ephraim Graham, CBN News, Los Angeles.
And Noah is rated PG-13, and it's now in theaters across the country.
Up next, why one museum is putting people's most ridiculous family photos on display.
This is a national healthcare alert from the Health Hotline. If you, a family member, or a loved one suffers from knee pain and have Medicare as your primary insurance, we've got great news. You could qualify for a pain-relieving knee brace at little or no cost to you. Get free delivery, and all the paperwork is handled by our accredited suppliers at no charge to you. If you're on Medicare and have knee pain, don't wait. You may qualify to immediately receive a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost. Friendly agents are standing by 24/7 to help you. Call the Health Hotline right now for details toll-free. Our friendly representatives are standing by now to take your call. We also have other pain-relieving braces available for shoulder, ankle, and your back. You may be eligible to receive these items and more at little or no cost to you as well. Call right now for details toll-free.
Operators are standing by. Call 855-740-8143. That's 855-740-8143. Again, 855-740-8143. That's 855-740-8143.
Millions of Americans with an ostomy live their lives to the fullest every day. And over the last 10 years, thousands have chosen Liberator Medical as their caring and reliable resource for ostomy supplies. Liberator Medical is a nationally accredited Medicare, Medicaid, and insurance provider, so we can handle all your Medicare, Medicaid, and insurance paperwork and billing. And Liberator Medical has been chosen as a preferred supplier by all the leading ostomy manufacturers, including Coloplast, Hollister, Convatec, and Generics. We supply all these leading ostomy brands, so you can always get the ostomy supplies and accessories you want and trust. And all of our ostomy care specialists are product certified by the manufacturers. Shipping is free and discreetly delivered right to your door. Unhappy with your present ostomy supplier? Call Liberator Medical and ask about our free ostomy sampling program. We also offer catheters and urological supplies.
Call 1-800-513-3076. That's 1-800-513-3076.
Well, you probably have one, a family photo that is so embarrassing it isn't even hanging on the wall.
Oh, yeah. Well, a new museum display is just the place to put that picture. The California Heritage Museum has just opened an exhibit displaying the best of the worst. It comes from the people behind the popular website awkwardfamilyphotos.com. The new display includes more than 200 pictures that are sure to embarrass.
I am the jazz hands. I was like, I'm going to be a ballerina, Mom and Dad. And they're like, all right, whatever. They're awkward and they're hilarious.
When you go to the portrait studio with your family, you're looking for that perfect photo to show your neighbors, to show your family, put on the mantle. And what this show is about, it's those other photos that you buried and that are in the drawers and that are in the attic.
Santa with the black eye, and there's Grandma all by herself. Well, the photos are on display until July. I love that one.
I think everyone can relate. Good stuff. That is all for this edition of NewsWatch.
Remember, you can email us your comments and questions at newswatch@cbn.com. Have a great weekend.